Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. Thank you as always for tuning back in. If you're new here, welcome. I'm Layla, the Lenormand reader. And today, folks, we are doing another pick-a-card reading, but I want to do a yes or no pick-a-card reading. And I realized I haven't done these in a while, so today I felt inspired to do something a little bit different. So for this yes or no pick-a-card reading, what I am going to do is a 6x6. So you know the Lenormand deck has 36 cards only, and what that does is it enables us to divide the deck into 6 piles of 6 cards each. And each of these 6 cards I'm going to lay out in a 6-card reading, a simple 3x2, and that way we will have our layout. And I also have our charms here. I'm opting for charms today, not stones. And we have 6 of them, one for each of the yes or no readings. We've got the lock, the feather, the hook, the teardrop or the pear, and the key, a clock key, and the scissors. Obviously that's a small clock key. And I am going to deal out the deck, and then I'm going to have for each of the 6 piles of 6, I'm going to have one of these charms assigned. So I'm just going to go right ahead and deal out the deck, and I'm just going to show you that briefly, and then we'll be able to get into the individual readings. So my deck is always shuffled between readings. I just like to, like most readers, just shuffling a little bit at first to seal the intention. Let's go ahead and do that. Okay, here is our whole deck divided into 6 piles of 6, and I'm going to assign to each of these piles, I'm going to assign a charm. So I'm just going to go randomly as well. I'm going to start with the pear as the first one, hook as the second one. I'm going to go for the scissors for the 5th one, feather number 3, lock, and key. So go right ahead and pause the video if you like to tune into which answer you want to focus for this reading, and obviously you want to focus on the question you are asking, who has a yes or no answer. And of course we'll also have a few more details. You will find the timestamps in the description box, and I am looking forward to your reading, so I'll see you in there. Okay, Teardrop, here we are with your lovely charm and your 6 cards that we dealt out at the outset. Now I'm going to keep them in this order. As you know, I don't like to reshuffle at this point, and I'm just going to deal out a 3x2 to see what is the answer to your yes or no question. Okay, that is very interesting. Very interesting. Why? Because we have a very strong or obvious, or I should say loud contradiction. We have the key, which is a very successful card, and we have the whip, which is a challenging card. Now, I am inclined to think that the answer is a no, but I'm also inclined to think that there's actually a good reason for it, maybe one that you do not realize just yet. And I would say that there is a need to change from the current path because it is not the right path and something else is coming through. So let's go ahead and weave the combinations here. We have a few, and then we'll put it all together and we'll see how the reading is answering the question, whether it's more inclined towards a yes or a no from weaving the details. So in the top row, we have the key, house, and moon. The key and house is an interesting combination. It suggests that there can be property dealings or investments of related in property and things like that. It can also point to things like your rent and your life at home. And with the moon, it points to a very comfortable lifestyle. It can even be a luxurious lifestyle. It feels prosperous and it feels easy. So you're at ease where you are, and you're also building the right strong foundations. Now, if it's not related to the home, the house is still a really powerful metaphor for success. And the key is one of the most successful or success-related cards in the deck. It is all about breakthroughs and gaining access into, especially with a card like the house, And with the moon here, there can be an invitation or some kind of honor that you receive. So the top line is very positive. It definitely points to a yes. And it also points to appreciation, building something solid, success, achievement, and, honors. And also a sense of peacefulness and security very strongly coming through this top line. Now, the bottom row is actually challenging. We have two challenging cards. We have the Whip and the Mountain. The Mountain can sometimes be neutral. It can sometimes just point to travel because it's related to that sense of, distance and borders. And with the Road, which is also a travel card, the theme of travel can also come through. Now, what's interesting is the Whip in the middle. So the Whip is a challenging card. It's actually the most challenging card of the deck. But notice what it's telling us here. It could be telling us that change is a bad idea at this point, and that staying where you are is the better option. The House is an unmoving card. It is, your base, your foundation. It is where you are now, and it is surrounded by very bright cards, except the Whip underneath, and we'll get to that in a bit. But when I'm looking at these two rows, I'm getting a sense that you're better off staying where you are, building on what you're building already, instead of seeking change. Making changes, moving, travel seems to be ill-advised at this point. So how does that answer your question? Well, that's interesting. It depends what your question was. If you asked whether you should move or make changes, or whatever is the change and how it manifests in your specific situation, I would say no. It's best to stick with what you're building for now, at least, because it is going to lead to positive results. Let's continue with more indications. Let's look at the columns. We have the Key and Road. I feel you are definitely going to find solutions. You are definitely on the right track. The House and Whip is challenging. There can be some issues around the home. Maybe there is a shakeup, and that causes some kind of change. And the Moon and Mountain points to success, and it points to, I would say, reaching the top, at least to some extent, and also climbing that mountain, and I would say growing and evolving. So it's interesting how the Whip challenges the House when we have two powerfully positive cards around the House. So let's continue with a couple more indications here. We've got the Key, Whip, and Moon. This is really nice to see because these two cards help resolve the issues of the Whip, especially the Key. The Moon is a softer card, and it's going to soften the Whip, but the Key is a card of breakthroughs and intelligence. So I feel if you're up against a challenge, you're going to be able to resolve it. And then the Road, House, and Mountain can point to a place abroad or a location that you have abroad. And this is a really interesting suggestions in the sense that maybe you're looking to make a move to a different place or to make changes. But again, I think because of the Whip with the Road and Mountain here between these two travel cards, I think that change at this point is not advised per group. And so again, if your question is about if you should make a change, I would say the answer is no. But if you want to stick with what you're doing, I would say the answer is yes. I also want to suggest that it is about finding the right space, the right place, the right circumstance. And this really comes through the Key and Moon on either side of the House, that is. So I would say do not make changes until you find really the right solution. Don't just make a change because you feel like changing from where you are right now. That would be jumping the gun, and that would be being rash when there's no need to do that, and it's ill-advised to do that. So I don't suggest that you jump the gun and make changes until you are certain that you've found the absolute best solution for the time being. So again, I think the cards are answering the two possibilities. They suggest that if this is about making changes, the answer is no, hold off for the time being, hold off just yet, and instead stick with what you're doing because what you're doing is leading to success. And I really think that the diagonals and the columns continue to support what we saw as the main messages through the top row. The Whip is a strong card, but it is softened by the moon and the key. And in terms of what it's telling us, it is giving us, and in terms of what it's giving us as a message in this reading is a warning against making a change. So it's actually a helpful indication in this reading. So your cards turned out to be a bit more like an options reading. If you are contemplating a change, the advice is against it, and instead it's best to stick with what you're doing for the time being because you are building in the right way. Change always comes eventually, but for the time being, it's best to stick with what you're building. So I would say some helpful cards. Pair group, let me know what was your yes or no question, if you like, of course, and let me know how the reading helped you answer it. I'm looking forward to your thoughts and comments as always. So until we meet again, thank you so much for watching and take very good care of yourself. And I'm so looking forward to our next reading together. Okay, hook group, here is your beautiful charm and your 6 cards, which we initially dealt. And I'm going to keep them in this order. As you know, I don't like to reshuffle at this stage in the reading. And we're just going to do a 3x2 and see how your cards answer your question. So focus on that and let's see what we get for you. Interesting cards. Yes, I've seen this dynamic in a few other readings as well. We seem to have 2 opposing cards going in different energies. We have the mouse, which can be challenging, but we also have the beautiful flowers, which is a beautiful card for wish fulfillment, healing, and really all sorts of wonderful messages. So let's weave these cards into the different combinations so that we see what is the balance of the outcome for you in this reading. But also what we can note before we get into these details is that the relationship element appears well in your cards. We have both the dog, which represents a friend, and we have the man, which represents a man normally. So it seems that there is a person, a friend in your circumstance that affects this question, and that's gonna probably help you achieve this yes or no or whatever is the outcome that you're after. So let's get into the details now. We have the mouse, stork, and man. When I see the stork after the mouse, I feel that something had been dragging and now it's able to pick up and move forward. And with the man, it can be this person who has been out of touch, who has been sort of dragging their feet or not really cooperating or not really, sort of working with you in the way that you like. And the flowers is actually also a card of renewal and things coming back into play. And it is a card of healing because of its association with spring, when flowers bloom again after a period of winter. So when we see the stork and mouse and we see the flowers, there is a sense of renewal, that there is the green light again, or there is maybe something that had been dragging or on hold now comes back into the picture. And it seems to be related with this man. Now the dog, cross, and flowers is a sort of a similar kind of combination because of this renewal element that the flowers brings. The dog and cross can mean some important, something important about this person, about this friend. There is a sense of maybe destiny, some things that are meant to be. But the thing about the cross is that it can also be a card of challenge. Sometimes it's associated with pain and guilt and sometimes regret. And it's possible that when we see the mouse and cross with the man, there is a bit of regret or maybe some past pain, or there's been an episode of a bit of a challenging phase here. But with the flowers, this can be forgiven. So this is really a combination of forgiveness and healing, and it comes in the context of this friendship. Now, when I look at the mouse and dog, I'm seeing that there were challenges. Maybe there was an episode of mistrust. Maybe this person didn't say the truth, or maybe you didn't tell them the truth. And this is, this is what the issue was. And what's interesting is that this column is on the left-hand side of the layout. And as you know, I tend to read the story unfolding from left to right, although I have to say that a student recently asked me, a student on the master course, recently asked me that if it's okay to read from left to right, and it's totally okay to read from left to right. It depends on your habit and how you interact with the cards. So always go with what you feel with the cards. So that aside, just back to the reading. The mouse and dog points to this issue that happened earlier in the story, or perhaps will happen earlier in the story. And then we see that there is an important turning point here. The stork is a card of movement. It shakes things up. And with the cross, there is an important awakening, maybe an important move, an important change that comes into play. And then the man and flowers points to a renewal, a sense of forgiveness, and I would say also a reunion. I think a reunion is really possible. Like we said, the mouse and cross can point to a bit of regret or a bit of an issue here along with this man. And in the other set here, we've got the dog, stork, and flowers. Again, just like we suggested, there is like something coming back. There is a renewal. There's also forgiveness. And I would say happy times ahead. The flowers is on the, the right-hand side, the later and future-most parts of the reading. So very, very beautiful cards. So does this answer yes? I would say yes. It does answer yes. But I also want to offer a bit of context for this yes. I think if you are wondering about whether, things can be resolved or fixed, I would say definitely yes. I think it is also an opportunity to give this relationship another chance. I think that is very much a possibility for you. And I would also suggest maybe a bit of flexibility to get things going and to allow this change to happen and forgiveness to happen and healing to happen. So if this is aligned with the themes that you're asking about, the answer is definitely a yes. If you asked something like, should I let go of this person? I would say no. I think these are cards that are suggesting that you give this situation another chance, or this person another chance. And on this note, Hope's group, if we were asking something like about in relation to a situation as opposed to a specific person, then in this case, the people cards here suggest that someone helps you achieve your goal. There is a helpful person that comes into play, even if they were sort of a bit late or dragging their feet or not really around. I think they do come back into the picture and they help you move forward. So that too applies in answer to your question. So I would say yes, a bright answer here, a positive, supportive answer to your query. Hope's group, let me know how you resonated with this reading. Let me know your thoughts about it, your feedback. I'm really looking forward to it. And until we meet again, as always, thank you so much for watching and take very good care of yourself. Okay, Feather Group, here we are with your lovely charm and your cards. As you know, I like to keep the order of the cards that I initially dealt them in this kind of layout. I don't like to reshuffle them at this point. And we're just going to deal them out into a 3x2 and see how this answers your yes or no question. So just focusing on your intention, and let's see what the cards suggest. Yeah, I would say this is a yes. I'm seeing a bit of a bumpy ride to get there, Feather Group, but there's lots of support for where you're heading and that you are going to get that yes or that answer to your wish. There are some really bright cards here. We've got the Anchor and Ship. Both of them are travel-related cards, but they're actually kind of opposite in energy. We have the Beautiful Child and the Fish. By itself, the Fish can be neutral. It's the card of money and prosperity. But with cards like the Child and Heart, it can be a very supportive card. It's really just the clouds that brings a bit of confusion to your 3x2. The clouds is a bit of a tension kind of card. It causes confusion and a sense of muddiness, when things are not clear. But I like to see that the Fish and Child are on the other side of the clouds. It tells me that this bumpy ride here, and it is next to the ship, points to some challenges and possibly some doubts about the heart, which is about feelings or, where your heart is. And so that's how it sort of muddies the picture a little bit. But it's not a strong strongly challenging card. It's a little bit challenging, and it's also very psychological in nature. So it's really about thoughts and thinking, and so this is about your thoughts, how you feel, especially with the heart. It's maybe some mental stress, and like we said, confusion. So overall, I think it's very much a yes. But let's get into the details of your cards and see what the story as well is coming through them. So we have the ship, clouds, and fish at the top row here. Now, when I look at just the clouds and ship, I am seeing a trip, or at least some kind of journey, even if it's not a physical journey. So there's like something that you need to cross through. But the clouds can bring in some obstacles, some challenges, and it's a bit of a bumpy ride. And it's also, you could be questioning where you're heading. You're not sure where this is going, and this could causing you a bit of stress. Now, the fish adds a different nuance to the line, because the fish is the card of money and material prosperity and material success in general. And when it shows up with the clouds, it's possible that there can be expenses here. It usually suggests that expenses come up that are unexpected, that not necessarily you were prepared for. So that could cause you a bit of stress. Now, in quite a literal way, the top line can suggest like an expensive trip, or that you need to spend on a journey or spend on some travels and movements that you need to undertake, and that could be stressing you out. But when I see the fish on the last position here towards the left, and it tends to be associated with the future-most and outcome aspects of the reading, I feel that maybe it's okay to do that. It's okay to spend a little bit on these trips, journeys. Maybe you're exploring some options in order to find out whatever it is you're after. So that's one suggestion. Another suggestion is that this line is not really referring to travel, but instead it's referring to investments. And the reason I say that is because the ship is a card that can be associated with trade, business. It's really good for all these activities. It's associated with import and export and trade and all of that. And so it can, in a broader sense, refer to your activity, your business, your projects. And there's a bit of a rough kind of situation that you navigate, or path that you go through. But I think it does prove rewarding, especially since we have positive cards in the bottom row. Now, the anchor, heart, and child is a beautiful triplet for beginnings. The child is the card of everything new. Of course, it's a card of children, and so it's associated with beginnings. And the anchor and heart is a beautiful combination of security, of feeling strong, feeling safe, and feeling confident in oneself. And this comes in the context of this new beginning. So it is very much a triplet that encourages you to take these first steps and to go ahead, to step into this new beginning. Now, it's interesting because in the top row, we have this journey kind of element coming through. So you are setting sail in a new direction. And even though there is a bit of a sense of uncertainty in the top row, some cloudiness, some confusion and nebulousness. In the bottom row, we're getting a sense of have faith in yourself and do the things that you love, pursue what makes you happy, stick with it even though you're feeling a bit of doubt. And, we do have the clouds on top of the heart, and the normally this would suggest thinking about love and wondering if your love towards someone is reciprocated. And sometimes the combination suggests unrequited love. So I feel that you could be doubting yourself, or you're not sure, but I really think that the bottom row could be telling you to follow your heart. And of course, this doesn't mean that you compromise yourself and you don't listen to your wisdom and your mind. We have a whole information processing system, our minds, our reason, our experience, our hearts, and also our bodies, really, and other signs and other sources of information that you might have in your in yourself, in your system. So definitely go with what you know is right, what you really desire, what you want. Embrace a bit of uncertainty, and I really feel that you'll be on the other side of this. So these are some pretty beautiful messages. The ship and anchor might suggest opposite kind of energies, because the anchor is about staying put and the ship is about travel. And so sometimes when this combination shows up, it can mean that you feel pulled in different directions. And I think this works really well with what we're seeing with the clouds and heart, where there is a sense of doubt, and there is like, do I do it? How do I feel about this? That the clouds brings this kind of challenge. On top of that, we have the clouds and anchor. And actually, the clouds and anchor is another combination of doubt and hesitation. And I feel that with the child and this generally positive 3x2, the child on the other side of the clouds in the last column, in addition to these beautiful cards in the bottom row, I think that you want to overcome your doubt and go for this. And also, I want you to make up your mind and go for this. So sit and think about this, process whatever is happening here in the mind, with your thoughts, with this kind of cloudy feeling, the doubts, the cloud and heart, the wobbliness, maybe the hesitation, and just go for it. So I was saying that in the context of the ship and anchor possibly going in different directions where you feel like you don't know what to do. But another way that we can read the ship and anchor is that you actually do arrive. You make that journey and then you land and you drop your anchor. You see how it, how it's very easy to think of that in a visual kind of way. So I really feel that this adds you or gives you more confidence to pursue this journey. So just go for it, because you will land, you will arrive, you will achieve. And we read these two cards. The fish and child is a very beautiful combination. Actually, it is a combination of new sources of income, new sense of prosperity, a sense of gratitude and appreciation from the good that is coming to you. There is a strong sense of openness. Children are open and they have that, that sense of no expectations. And the fish is also a very fluid card. It's associated with water. It's also flexible and flowing. It's abundant. So there is a strong sense of abundance in your cards, Feather Group. I do think you are going to find the rewards coming through from making this move. So I hope you overcome your doubt and you embrace these steps forward, and you embrace what is ahead for you. It can be prosperity, definitely goal achievement, and also a strong sense of happiness and security. So I would say, yes, this is a very beautiful yes. And also, I would say, listen to these messages, the details of the combinations here, what the clouds are telling you and what everything else is telling you. Embrace your sense of self, what you want to do, pursue what you desire. I really think it's going to work out well. Yeah, I really think it's going to work out well. So some beautiful cards for you, Feather Group. Let me know how you enjoy this reading. Leave me your thoughts. I'd love to know what your question was. Of course, you don't have to tell me or tell everyone else in the comments, but it's always interesting to know. So let me know, and until we meet again, as always, thank you so much for watching, and take very good care of yourself. Okay, Key Group, here we are with your lovely charm here that we're going to leave to the side. And we've got your 6 cards, the one that we initially dealt out at the outset. And as you know, I don't like to reshuffle the cards at this stage. Instead, I like to keep them as they are and just deal out the cards into what is going to be a 3x2. So let's go right ahead and do that. Let's see what your cards suggest, whether it is a yes or a no. Okay, I really think this is probably going to be a no, but I think it's an interesting set of cards, because we have both the fox and the snake, and they're both very discreet and clever cards, but they're also typically challenging cards. So I feel this is mainly a no, and I feel that also there's an energy of patience and waiting, but we also have some pretty strong cards like The ring, which is a card of relationships, and it can also point to commitments, and the bear, which is a card of strength. And actually the tower is also a card of strength and longevity. I'm feeling there is a slower energy to your cards. I'm feeling there is a sense of caution and awareness that you absolutely need to exercise, key group. And so that's why I feel that I'm getting a sense of, you know, not yet, or maybe figure things out more before you go for it type of energy. But let's read the cards from the ground up, meaning starting with the details, and let's put the whole picture together and see what is the balance of the cards telling us. So starting with the top row, we've got the Fox, Rider, and Tower. Now, the Rider is a messenger card. It can bring news. It can suggest someone who comes into the picture to help out, so to speak. But the Fox is a tricky card, and the Fox tends to represent someone who is not particularly honest, you know, someone who is not transparent. It can also represent a trap or a situation that you don't trust. So when you see the Fox and Rider together, and the Rider can bring this idea of a message or a messenger, then with the Fox, I suggest that maybe you can't really trust what they're saying, okay? You can't really take their message at face value. Maybe it is not a reliable kind of information. Maybe it's not a reliable source. So I would say just be aware of that. Now, the Tower can create different nuances in this line. The Tower is typically about the past, and the long term is a card of time and patience, but it's also connected to the idea of expertise, and it can represent a corporation or a business, and it can also represent you know, someone in authority. And what's interesting is that we have the bear in the cards, and the bear is also a card of authority. It tends to represent someone who is, you know, at a higher level, like a manager or, you know, a boss, or, you know, someone like that. And so when we have these two together, and they are corner cards, it can bring in this idea of a manager or a boss or someone expert into the picture. And what's furthermore interesting is that the Fox can represent an employee or someone who's less senior. So what I'm seeing from the dynamic so far is that there is like a person in the cards, and in the very least, if it's not a person like a boss or someone of influence, it can represent this idea of a chain of command. It can represent the idea of expertise and authority. And from this top line, what I suggest is that you might want to consult the right sources, because as it stands, I don't think you have all of the right information. And I think the messages that you're getting could be mixed, could be unclear, not transparent, and maybe even outright lies, okay, because of the Fox and Rider. So that's for the top row. Let's go for the next one, and we'll keep building the layers. We've got the bear and ring, and then the snake. Now, the ring and snake is a challenging pair, because when it comes to relationships, the snake is quite negative. The snake typically represents a third party. It can represent cheating. And of course, there is that sense of dishonesty as a result, just like we suggested with the Fox, and they are corner cards as well. So with the ring, there is, you know, a relationship that is, or something going on behind the scenes in your relationship. There could be also someone that you can't trust, just like we saw in the top row. And I would also suggest, because of the bear, which can represent like management or authority, or someone who's maybe imposing, I think it's best that you don't trust them with everything, you know, and I think you need to manage this relationship carefully. I also think, because the snake is on the right hand side of the 3x2, you might want to like not, you might even want to move away a little bit, you know, like distance yourself. So not being too close with this person. Don't be too overly involved with this person or situation. You know, I'm feeling that you can't really trust them, and I think it's also a fluid and a tricky situation. So I think it's important that you be aware of that, and that you keep some things to yourself. You know, you don't have to tell everything to everyone, including this person. I also think that the cards, if it's about a relationship, as in a closer relationship like love, I think the cards can spell trouble, key group. Specifically when it comes to relationships, the cards can represent an issue in the relationship. Like I said, that the snake represents a third party, and there can be dishonesty, and on top of that, there is the fox. So just beware of what's going on. At the same time, key group, I cannot dismiss the possibility that maybe you're the one who's sort of falling out of the relationship and considering an alternative. I mean, I have no basis for dismissing that possibility or that scenario. And if that's the case, then maybe you're at a point in the relationship where you want to move on. And in this kind of energy, the cards are tending to a no. Okay, so no, not this relationship, maybe another one. No, this doesn't look like it's supportive. It seems to have a lot of lack of transparency and things going on behind the scene. It's not open, it doesn't feel like, it doesn't have that sense of light, or openness that you would want. So I'm tending to a no with these cards so far. Now the fox and bear is a number of possibilities. Like I said, when it comes to work and this environment, the fox can represent someone who looks like an employee, someone who's not as senior as the bear. The bear represents a manager. So in this sense, maybe you are after leveling up your career. Maybe you're after a management post, key group, but also maybe you need to navigate someone in authority in a clever way. And again, keep in mind the chain of command. And again, keep in mind that sense of discretion and practice diplomacy. The rider and ring is a combination of involvements, engagements. The rider tends to be a card of momentum, forward movement. It has a lot of enthusiasm, and it is like a moving card. So it has action. And with the ring, which tends to point to repetition, it is about committing to your involvements, sticking with it, getting things done, living up to the responsibility, and so on. So this is actually a supportive combination that advises you to stick with your routine, with your disciplines, and I would say also to the point of achieving them. Now the Tower and Snake is really a combination of letting go, especially letting go of a past chapter and moving on, probably from a long-standing situation. So how do we make sense of all of these cards together? Well, key group, I think that it's really about the right time for when you move away from this circumstance. It can be any circumstance in your life, depending on what question you were asking, but it's also in terms of relationships and involvements where I think you're reaching a point where you feel that this isn't really fitting and you want to move away, you want to move on. So again, if your question was, do you stick with it? I think no, but maybe for a while until you can make a smart move. And if you're asking about making a change or leaving, I would say yes, but again, finding the right time. And when it comes to relationships or commitments, is this working out for you? I don't think so. I think that is, how do I say, a clearer no, like a louder no when it comes to relationships especially. Now, one thing that's interesting that can come out of this interesting 3x2 is that if you are looking for a promotion or for some kind of, leveling up your game or, increasing your status, I think you may actually be able to achieve that. But I think it's going to be a bit tricky. You're going to need to be really smart and clever. Both the snake and fox are really clever in this way. And also, it's very, very clear from the cards that the path to that is going to be the indirect route and charming the birds of the trees, those birds being management. Okay, so it's very important that you are able to negotiate and manage your managers or your, whoever is the person or the role that's going to support your growth, whether it's on a job in a traditional way or in some other context, depending on how you run your work activities. You need that support from them. So it's very important that you're able to charm them into that. there is a strong sense of diplomacy and, you know, like roundabout, clever, kind of, you know, going behind things, you know, to achieve that goal. But I still think you can achieve it. And that's where your cards can turn to a yes. So very interesting set of cards, key group, very layered. You know, there's different things going on in here. But in general, outside or regardless of the specific context that we're reading these cards in, I think it tends to a no. And I think also be careful about the information that you're receiving, the messages that are coming through. You know, it's not all what it seems to be. So I would say probably the trickiest reading of the 6, because we had both the fox and the snake show up for you, not just one of them. So let me know how that worked out for you, key group. Let me know your thoughts and comments. And also, if you want to share with me your question, you know, so that we can, you know, maybe see how the cards are tending specifically for your question, be sure to leave me it in the comments so I can answer that. So very best of luck with this smooth transition, key group. I'm really looking forward to our next reading together as always. And until we meet again, thank you so much for watching and take very good care of yourself. Okay, scissors, here we are with your reading. We've got your very cute charm that we're going to set to the side and your 6 cards here. So these are the ones that I dealt out initially. And as you maybe know, I don't like to shuffle the cards at this stage. I like to leave them in this order, and I'm just going to deal them out. So let's go ahead and deal out your 3 by 2 here and see how it answers your question. Obviously, these are some pretty amazing cards. Ooh, look at this. This is so amazing. Okay, so the star and the clover are 2 of the brightest cards of the deck. They are wish fulfillment cards, and they're all around happy cards. So very, very beautiful to see in here. And you would just need 1 in your 3 by 6 and your 3 by 2. I mean, to get a positive answer, but you have both of them. So really it has double success here. So these cards by themselves are going to answer a yes. The tree is also a very, very bright card. It is a card of wisdom and health and strength and well-being. And with the clover on top of it and with the other cards around it, it is a very, very bright combination. Now the standout combination is the scythe and the coffin. And as you might know, in my dictionary and in many other dictionaries actually with Lenormand, the scythe and the coffin is the combination of death and dying. Now obviously I don't, you know, interpret the cards in this way because, well, first, it's not about people, it's about a yes or no answer, and second, you would need more cards for such a final and also a specific and rare event. But what it is a clear combination of is an ending. And this is absolutely decisive in your card scissor group. There is an ending. And it's also nice to see it on the right-hand side because it is the future-most area of the spread. So we sort of go from left to right. You know, the earlier parts of the story are towards the left and the later parts are towards the right. So this is a clear ending here and a very sharp one. So something definitely comes to an end. Now let's get into the details of the combinations and see how they build up into a final answer and see what is the balance of the cards telling us. Now the clover and scythe is a lucky break, and the star adds to that because really the clover and star are both very strong positive energies. So what I think you get from the top row is that opportunity, you get the lucky break, you get it, you know. And the thing with the scythe is that it can be sudden, unexpected. It might come out of the blue. Clearly, this line is a very positive line, and it points to a yes. The thing about the clover, at both the clover and scythe, is that they have a bit of a luck factor, and by that I mean that you can't really know when it happens. It's sort of a little bit out of the blue, and it's also like just literally just getting lucky. In the bottom row, we have the book, tree, and coffin. This is a much slower energy than what we're seeing in the top. The book and tree, I have to say, is a combination of knowledge and learning. And it might be a time when you need to maybe nurture a little bit yourself, evolve in a way, maybe study something, deepen your knowledge, acquire some skills. It depends on what you're after. The thing about the coffin is that I feel that this is a phase without the scythe. Just looking at the bottom row, in this context, the tree and coffin is a bit like an incubation phase. It's like, things are sort of forming, they're, and with the book here, there's knowledge. So it's like there's a learning curve here, and it takes a bit of time. So it sounds like there is some preparation, and then when you're ready, you get the opportunity, and there is that breakthrough and ending and change. Now, the star and book is, I would say, a beautiful message of positive news for one, but also maybe more like a revelation of sorts. And also, I would say, a lot of inspiration. And it can even be outright spiritual. So maybe you're after some spiritual pursuit. It can point to something like insight and enlightenment and, that deeper kind of knowledge. And, we have the tree and clover around here that really help deepen this sense of knowledge. It's not just like learning something, like everyday something. There's like a deeper insight, deeper realizations and breakthroughs that we're seeing in your cards. The clover and tree is beautiful for growth. This is definitely something that blooms. You're on the right track. You reap what you sow. You're blooming, you're growing, you're deepening. There is a deep formation happening in a very, very positive way. And then we have this really powerful scythe and coffin here, and something ends. And I feel there is a sense of shedding. Okay, I feel that you're morphing, that you are shedding old skin, that you are changing, and I think it's kind of deep this time. It's not just like a superficial change. I think it's a deeper soul kind of thing happening for you, but also a very, very positive change. It can be a sense of healing, some kind of miracle, something, like something really is released, and there's like this light that comes through from it. So very beautiful messages here that I'm seeing. So how would that be as a yes or a no? I really think it's a positive yes, but I want to suggest that it depends on how you structured your question. So if a question is directed towards a negative outcome, I would say no, the positive outcomes come through. And if your question is structured towards a positive outcome, then I would say you definitely have a confirmation. And on top of that, yes or no layer, I really want you to take away these very positive messages. You're in for a very positive change, Scissors group. I really want you to embrace this change. Don't hang on, let go, because what is coming through is very beautiful, very healing, very inspirational, and aligned with your higher self. So some beautiful changes can happen here. So let me know how you like these thoughts, these messages, Scissors group. I'm really looking forward to your comments. Very best of luck with this breakthrough. Let me know how it goes. And until we meet again, as always, thank you so much for watching, and take very good care of yourself. Okay, key group, here we are with your reading. We've got your very pretty charm. We're going to set it to the side. And we have the 6 cards that I initially dealt from the deck. And as you might know, I like to, at this point, leave them in this order, and I don't like to reshuffle them. So we're just going to lay them out into a 3x2 and see how the cards answer your question, whether it is a yes or a no. Okay, well, lock group, I think this is a yes. We have the very beautiful sun right in the middle of the cards here. And the sun is one of the brightest cards of the deck. It is really an all-around success card. It is very broad in this way, and it really shines a light on the entire reading. So it is a very bright combination. It's going to be in all the bright combinations because it is also centrally located, and it is so bright. Another thing that's coming very strongly through the cards is the idea of communication. We have the letter, the bird, we have a person card, and we have the garden. The letter is a card of messages, news, communication, documents. The bird is too, but it tends to be more oral. It's a very vocal card. It can cause a bit of tension, but it is very communicative. And the garden is the card of community, society, the public. And the woman is obviously a person, so the relationship element comes through. So we have plenty of cards. In fact, most of the cards are communication cards, at least half of them if you're going to look at the letter, bird, and garden. And we have the lily. The lily is generally a neutral card. It points to your life, your lifestyle, your life path. It can also suggest a career. And it is a longer term card. So you could be building something bigger here, and the communication, the news, or the relationship, and this positive energy, of course, with the sun affects you on a broader scale. So these are some really nice cards. Now, I think it's a straight up yes, and I mean by that a positive answer, a supportive answer to your question, but we can still get some more detail from reading the rose columns and more. So in the top row, we have the letter and bird on either side of the sun, and this simply suggests some very good news, some positive communications, and it does answer your wish. So maybe you've applied for something or you sought an answer. The idea is that you get some really positive feedback. So there's some very strong energies here for success and communication, positive communication in general. In the bottom row, we have the lily, woman, and garden. The lily and garden can refer to your job, maybe it refers to your work, or more broadly, your career. And the woman here clearly points to a woman in your environment. I think she's a professional woman because she's right next to the lily. And with the garden here, there can be like a meeting, and obviously it would go really well because of the cards on the top here. So this could be someone whom you sit with. Maybe she is someone who interviews you or interacts with you for the purposes that you're after. And in general, she's going to be really supportive. We have the sun on top of the woman. So this is a bright combination. She brings a positive energy, a yes as well. So again, I feel it's a supportive energy here. And like I suggested, the lily can bring into the picture your career or something that you're doing, maybe a vocation at the vocation level, sort of like your purpose in life. Your sense of mission, if you like, is on the table. And with the woman and garden, maybe you were pursuing something a bit more public. Certainly with the bird and garden, you could be looking at something public. So, public speaking, maybe producing stuff that is shared, anything like online or, sharing information, things like that. So you could be pursuing that. And that goes really, really well. And it's definitely a good time to express and be vocal, and you have this woman's support as well. Or perhaps you're the woman. It can apply. I can't dismiss that possibility. So the bottom row is a bit more neutral. It's really focusing the context and also bringing this supportive person into the picture. But we don't know that she's supportive just from looking at these lines. She's supportive because we have the sun on top of her. So speaking of the top and bottom combinations, we've got the letter and lily. This can point to a work offer. It can point to communications in the work context or the career context. So again, this is a neutral kind of combination. And the bird and garden, like we said, is this kind of broader, more public kind of communication. It can suggest networking and reaching out, getting in touch with people, expressing interest and things like that, So there's quite a bit of being out there kind of energies that I'm picking up in these cards from the sun and the garden and the bird. The sun is like this broad, beautiful card, and the bird is vocal and sometimes loud, and the garden is the public and society at large. So there's like a strong public kind of open, big spaces kind of energies that I'm seeing in your cards. So you could be stepping into a marketplace. Maybe you're selling something or publishing something or networking, meeting people and things like that. And this woman here can be someone who is supportive, who helps you with this and who has faith in you. Or you can be represented by this woman, and it suggests that you're in for success. We can also read the diagonals. We've got the letter, woman, and bird. So this communication is strongly tied to her. Either you dialogue with her, or the news comes from her, or perhaps some decision depends on her, or maybe she supports you in some way, maybe puts in a good word for you. She seems to be involved in this communication. Or again, she could be you, and the cards are communicative, therefore encouraging you to reach out. But the cards encourage you to reach out whether this woman represents you or not. The lily, sun, and garden is very beautiful for success in the marketplace. This can point to success at large, popularity, appreciation, this can tie into your work or your vocation. So I'm seeing quite a bit of success for you, Lock Group. So obviously, in terms of a basic yes or no question, the answer is yes in a positive way. But also we're looking at some very successful outcomes. I would also say you have quite a bit of potential. I would say step out into the bigger world, embrace your outreach. I think you have or are able to have more influence than you realize, and you might really want to share your thoughts, your knowledge, your information, your talents. Shine your light. Okay, just to put it in a nice, cute way. Shine your light out there. Be out there. Reach out. You can reach quite a bit of success. It's really nice. Strong communication cards. Strong focus on expressing, giving, taking, receiving, networking, being there, interacting, and there's gonna be some positive returns from that. So some very beautiful cards for you, Lock Group. Definitely a yes. Let me know how it plays out for you. Let me know what your question was if you want to share, and leave me any thoughts or comments. I'm looking forward to them. Very best of luck with this. Really embrace your good. Step out there into the world. You're gonna like it. You're gonna get positive feedback. Okay. So thank you so much for tuning in, Lock Group. Again, very best of luck with this. Let me know how it goes. And until we meet again, as always, I'm looking forward to our next reading together. Until then, stay safe. Take very good care of yourself.